So Ghostface is finally in Mortal Kombat 1, and in this video I'm just going to go over my first impressions of Ghostface, as well as going over the things I've discovered, showing some combos and setups, and just going over his general game plan. So this isn't really a fully fledged guide for Ghostface. This is, it's day one, it's way too early to do that, but this is more just how I feel about the characters so far, and how I'm liking him, basically. So first things first, what is Ghostface and how does he work? So Ghostface is a grappler. At least OG Ghostface is a grappler. So that's the default one you start as. He has a ton of command grabs. So his main special that you're going to be using a lot is Father Death, which is back down forward 1. It's this command grab, and it's a real throw. You cannot block this, you have to duck it. So OG Ghostface is a grappler. This is his main deal right here. And his strings also really show that he's a grappler, which we'll talk about shortly. But he has a couple command grabs. He has more than just this one. He has a command grab off of his Psychotic Dive, which is this one right here, as you can see, as a real throw. He has a full screen throw with his enhanced down back 4. This is a very good neutral skip button that your opponent has to duck, and it puts you right next to them, and you're plus 15, I believe. So that puts them right back into the strike throw situation on wake up. And he can also do his Father Death throw from his down forward 3 Psychotic Rush. So he has a lot of throws. Now, the way Ghostface works in this game is that there's 3 Ghostface killers. There's the OG, who's the command grab one, he's the grappler. Then you have the Enforcer, which you can swap to by doing any Ghostface move where, it requires a second Ghostface to come out. So any of those moves and pressing L1, that'll swap you to the Enforcer. And he'll have the blue knife and he'll light up blue. And this is Kobra from the 3D era of MK. He has his big overhead kick. So the Enforcer, essentially, he is the mix-up 50-50 overhead low Ghostface. That's the best way to think about him. He adds this string to your move list where it's a high overhead low. He adds this down forward 4 big overhead to the move list, which is plus 30 on hit. And it puts them right next to you, so they're guessing again overhead low on wake up. He also has some other specials that just kind of pad the damage a little bit. As you can see right here, he has his down forward 3, which is this fast 12 frame mid that does pretty decent damage at 70. It's a great combo ender, though his down forward 4 is a better combo ender as the Enforcer Ghostface over his down forward 3. And he also has a Rekka sequence with down forward 1, down forward 1, down 1 or up 1, the second hit there, and he has down forward 1, down 1, back 1. And this Rekka sequence, I'm going to be honest, I don't use it often. I don't think it's quite good. It's 3 mids, and granted it is a Rekka sequence, so people do sort of have to respect it, right? But this thing does like no damage. It does 5%. 50 damage if you land all 3 hits. And you can enhance the last hit of it so that it bounces your opponent, and you can get a combo that way, but the scaling is really bad, so I don't even go for the Rekka sequence. It's really not good. The main deal with the Enforcer, though, is the overhead kick, which if you enhance, it actually becomes a launcher, and you can do air strings straight out of it. And he does rack up damage the best out of all the Ghostfaces, but we'll talk about damage in regards to Ghostface in a second. And the other thing about the Enforcer Ghostface is that the enhanced down forward 3, which is the shoulder charge, it does 2% chip, and it's safe on block at -5. So if you were to do a string that would be like -7, you would do this instead, and you'd be -5, you'd be safe, and you'd be at around mid-screen. It basically resets the neutral. So the Enforcer is very much the overhead low, hard to blockable mix-up character of the 3. And then we have the Assassin Ghostface, the Black Dragon Assassin, who is honestly my favorite. So the Assassin is literally just like a rushdown character. The main deal with the Assassin is that you press L2 to swap into the Assassin. But the main thing with the Assassin is the knife toss, which I'll talk about last because that has the most to talk about. First we'll talk about Black Dragon Ball. It's just a Kano ball. It's a good combo ender, and if you enhance it, it actually becomes a pretty damaging ender as well. Does about 160, and of course, that's really good with cameos like Mavado or Tremor or anyone who can OTG, so that includes Sector. You can OTG from this down forward 3 enhance, but otherwise down forward 3 by itself, it's a relatively slow-ish mid that you're going to be using as a combo ender. And she also has down forward 3, which is Nightshade, mid projectile, pretty fast mid projectile, and she moves backwards at the same time. But the main deal with down forward 4 is that it's a restand, as you can see right here. So you restand your opponent and your super plus afterwards, so you can go ahead and follow up the restand with a forward 2-1 and start doing some rush down with the knife toss fake outs, as you can see here. I'll talk more about that in a sec. And the enhanced down forward 4, it's a restand that's more plus than the regular version, which will guarantee a down back 4 call out or a down back 3. And basically it guarantees all of Ghostface's really slow moves, which we'll talk about later. So you can see there the uppercut of down back 4 comboed from the down forward 4 restand. So it guarantees your really slow stuff that you'd be doing. Now the main meat and potatoes of the assassin Ghostface is the knife toss. So one, you can do it from the air, and that hits mid, does 7%, and on block it's also safe at, certain distances. If you hit it at full screen, it'll be pretty safe at like -6, -2, as you can see right there. But the ground version, this one is really good. So first and foremost, you can hold it like this. Down forward 1, you can delay it. It's a high. You can delay it for 165 frames, and you just chuck it at your opponent, and it does 7%. On block, that's what it looks like. It's super minus, right? So you get punished for doing that. But she has an enhanced version where she throws one instantly, and it's neither plus nor minus. So you can actually just keep chucking knives, right? But while she delays this, you can either do a backdash to cancel it, or you can do a forward dash to cancel it. And while you're delaying it, you can press the enhance button to throw a knife that hits mid, and it's neither minus nor plus. But basically, if your opponent doesn't know to armor through the gap between knife toss, the enhanced one, and you do a fake out dash forward, it lets you play a lot of rush down and mix up. And one more thing about the assassin Ghostface is that she adds a new string, and that she changes your back 2 to back 2 1-1, which is 2 overheads and 2 mids, and it's completely safe at -6. And again, it's another really good rush down string, because you can either do the first hit of the overhead, cancel that into the knife toss fake out, 2 hits of the overhead, cancel that hit, 2-1-1, like so, and just cancel each hit, which is really good for you, right? Except for the last hit. The first 3 hits are completely cancelable, and on top of that, this will armor break people on wake up because it hits so fast. So keep that in mind when playing as the assassin. Your back 2-1-1 is a very good string to armor break and to play some rush down with these knife toss fake outs, which is really cool for the assassin Ghostface to be able to do. So this is your rush down Ghostface, and the cool thing about assassin Ghostface is that she actually has cancel combos using the knife toss from 2-2-2. So you can actually do some pretty cool stuff like this. So that one wasn't quite optimal, but you can see that you can actually do cancel combos with the knife toss, along with it being a pretty good rush down tool. So that is the assassin Ghostface. Now the other thing that these Ghostfaces do when you are not the OG Ghostface is that when you get hit, you're basically invulnerable for 12 seconds. There's a reason why Ghostface does like no damage, right? There's a reason why he's a low damage character. It's because 1, he's a grappler, and 2, for 1 bar of meter, whenever you want to swap into the other Ghostfaces, either Enforcer or Assassin, it'll cost you 1 bar of meter, and for 12 seconds you can play as them. But if you get hit as these Ghostfaces, your opponent cannot combo you at all. You are unable to be comboed. You will take the damage from the hit, but you can't be comboed from it. And if your opponent punishes or hits you with a button that has a lot of recovery, let's say they do a fatal blow, for example, you can actually punish your opponent for doing that. So you can see right there. You have to be fast with it, but if they really do a move that has a lot of recovery, you can punish them with your 9-framer at most, as you can see here. I'm kind of mashing it out here because that timing is really tight, but if you just like go for jab string, you can also go for jab string, and you know, you can get a full combo punish on them. So you're basically, in a way, you have armor for about 12 seconds when you're playing as the assassin or the enforcer. You basically have like insurance when you swap to the other Ghostface killers, where they cannot really, where you can't be comboed, and if they try to like down 2 you or something, you can go ahead and punish them with some of your faster buttons, at most your stand 2, which is your 9-frame high. So that's the main gist of the multiple Ghostface killers in this game. The enforcer is your mix-up one, the assassin is your rushdown, and the OG is the grappler. Now let's briefly go over his strings. So his only true safe string in this game is 1-2-2, because 1-2-2 is completely gapless, there's no armor gaps here, and it's -5 on that 3rd hit, and it's a high mid string. This is his only gapless string that is safe on block. Otherwise, all of his other strings have gaps between the last and second to last hit, or they're either -7. So that's kind of the thing with Ghostface in this game as well. Much like Noob Saibot, he's punishable by jab strings mostly on basically all of his strings and all of his enders for his strings. But the thing about it is that Ghostface is a grappler. So you're not going to be doing the final hit of each string very often. You're mainly going to be, you know, staggering your buttons. Like your 1-2, for example, is only -2, so that's great for doing some strike throw. Your 2-2 is 0 on block, so you can, again, play strike throw with that. So you're going to be staggering all of your buttons and basically making the read of whether or not your opponent is going to try and take their turn back with like a jab check after you stagger with like 1-2 or 2-2, and you're going to go ahead and do full string. And another thing you'll notice about his strings is that he doesn't really have any launchers per se in like a traditional way. Like yes, he has 2-2 1+3, which is a jump cancelable launcher, and you can also just do a micro dash forward and do a jab string. Oops, I messed it up there. Let me do it one more time. So you can see right there. And his forward 4 is the same. It's the same animation, except it's just the throw itself. Though it is not a real throw. This one is not real. It's just a hit throw. -6. But if you do it from 2-2, 1+3, it's -4. There's a big armor gap there. So he doesn't have a lot of launchers. And that's because Ghostface isn't really super good at juggling. And the reason why is because he's not a combo character, right? He's a grappler. But the thing is that you're mainly setting up strike throw situations with all of his strings and all of his specials. That is the main gist of the main OG Ghostface. You're just setting up strike throw constantly, and it's very, very good strike throw. And the reason why is because, one, all of his strings give you a hard knockdown, right, with at least like 30 frames of hit advantage, except for his 1-2-3 string, which goes into a low. There you're only +24, but +24 is still a lot, and they're right next to you, and now you're playing strike throw, right? You have a 12-frame command grab. You have a 20-frame overhead in the form of back 2, which is a very good overhead, by the way. Though this is -7, so it is punishable by jab strings, and it can be up blocked. But back 2 is also special cancelable, so if you have a cameo that can special cancel and make it safe, you can do that. Or if you think your opponent is going to try and punish you or something, you can go ahead and do like your armored move, or you could just go straight into a special afterwards if you think your opponent is going to punish you, and maybe you can catch them pressing buttons. So back 2 is a very good fast overhead to complement your strike throw on wake up. He also has back 3, which is a very fast 13-frame mid, and it's -7, but this does have a follow-up in the form of this low kick here, back 3-4, which is also -7, so you don't need to even go into like a special immediately. You can just kind of threaten the low, and if your opponent, you know, starts taking the turn back each time, then you can start throwing out that low, even though it's -7. Basically, they have to respect the fact that there is a follow-up to this back 3, and the other thing about back 3 is that it knocks your opponent into the air, so it naturally combos into your command grab. Whereas if you tried to go into your command grab from any other string, you'd have to enhance it for it to combo, unless the string knocks them into the air. So back 3 is another really good button to check people with if they try to micro duck any command grabs, or just while you're pressuring them. Back 3 is a very fast mid to just throw out there. The other thing about back 3 is that it's a restand, so your combos are typically going to end with back 3 more than anything else. And if not back 3, it's going to be down forward 4, which we'll talk about in a second. But back 3 is incredibly good because it's a restand, and it's a very plus frame restand at that. You're plus 14 out of this. So you can go straight into a command grab. Whoops, I was doing the wrong input. Do straight into command grab. It jails into his highs, as you can see here. So let's have him auto block and duck. Your back 3 is an incredibly good ender because it jails into your highs, it jails into your stand 1, it jails into your stand 2. You can also just go straight into a down 1, so people cannot mash against you after you hit them with the down 3, because your 7 frame jab will jail, your down 1 will jail, your down 3 is going to hit them. You're faster than them. And if not, then you can go ahead and do a down 1 tick throw, which we'll talk about in a sec after we're done discussing back 3. But back 3 is an incredible mid that otherwise you're going to be using it to, whiff punish people. It does have good forward momentum, but typically it is just going to be your combo ender. It's going to be your main restand tool, where your opponent is going to be forced to start, guessing and respecting what you're doing because they can't do anything out of it, right? I will say there is a small armor gap here where if you restand someone with back 3, they can armor through some of your options, but otherwise they have to respect it because your jab 1 beats them, down 1 beats them, even your back 2 will beat them. So if they get hit by something and they try to jab out, even your back 2 will beat them. So you can do this. So as you can see there, even your back 2 will beat out a jab. So you're very, very plus off your back 3, and basically they have to armor against something like back 2, but otherwise they can't armor because your jabs will always beat out whatever they do. So back 3 is incredibly important, not just for checking people who are ducking, but for restanding them and getting your pressure going and basically looping strike throw situations constantly. The only 2 remaining notable buttons that you need to know are his down 1 and down 3. So the reason why these are notable is because these are his only tick throw buttons. As you can see there, you can do down 1 into command grab, that's a tick throw, and then you could do a down 3 into command grab, and that's also a tick throw. And obviously the down 3 has more reach than the down 1, and it also hits low. So you can tick throw people only off of these 2 buttons. The other thing that's also notable and worth mentioning is his back throw. At the startup, if you go ahead and call in the swap, you can actually change Ghostfaces during your throw. So you can go ahead and become the assassin or become the enforcer while you do a back throw. And this throw lasts for a really long time, to the point where, you could use a cameo to actually get a combo out of it as well. So the main thing with his air strings is that 1-2 is the ender and 2-2 is the combo extender. So you're going to be ending combos with like 1-2, and if you're going to be extending them with 2-2. That's kind of the main deal with his air strings. So you're mainly going to be using 2-2 over 1-2, unless your cameo works better with 1-2 over the other. But typically it's just going to be 2-2. And the final thing is that his jump in from stand 3 has a pretty big hitbox, as you can see right there. Ghostface doesn't even touch them and they'll get hit. So you can actually hit people behind you when it doesn't even look like you're hitting them. So that's just the last thing to talk about when it comes to his normals and strings so far. His jump 3 actually has a pretty nasty hitbox, as you can see right there. And finally, let's talk about his specials. So we already talked about Father Death. This is his main command grab that you're going to be doing strike throw with. You can do it out of his psychotic rush. You can also side switch people by pressing back while you do it, or holding back, as you can see here, side switch. So this is kind of your main thing right here. You absolutely need to know this. Backstage pass is one of his neutral skip tools. It's also one of his main tools to swap Ghostfaces out. So you have a couple options from backstage pass. The regular version, down back 3, it's a high, and this is his main like combo extender. So you're going to be using like standing cameos or cameos that can do standing combos the most, because all of his combo extenders have to do with like using things like backstage pass or his down back 4, which is called outnumbered. So that's like the main deal with Ghostface when it comes to cameos as well. You're going to be using standing combo cameos the most because his extenders are very, very slow and they do not combo with his strings. But back to what I was saying about backstage pass. So much like what I said at the beginning, any move where there's like 2 Ghostfaces on the screen, you can swap that into the Enforcer or into the Assassin. So backstage pass is one of the ways where you're gonna naturally combo into the other Ghostface killers. You're gonna be doing stuff like that to naturally combo into the Enforcer or into the Assassin. But there's a lot of options out of this that kind of make it a little bit of a tricky move. So obviously it's a neutral skip, right? It hits high though, so people can duck it. If they see you starting to run off screen, they can just start ducking and punish you with whatever. They could jab check you. So ducking is the hard counter to backstage pass, unless, you know, they're mid animation of a fireball. So this is your main like anti-zone keep out tool. So down back 3 does that. You can hold 3 and Ghostface won't do anything. Instead of going into down back 3, which is cancelable into anything, by the way. You could go straight into a string and it will combo, or you can go straight into a special and it will combo, as you can see right there. So that's cancelable into anything, on hit, that is. But the best use of that is like to just let the hit happen of the high right there and just cancel into whatever. It'll build more damage for you. The only time you wouldn't want the high to hit is if you were playing against like Liu Kang and he's doing low fireballs where, you know, he crouches down and he low profiles. So then you wouldn't want the high to happen because what, you know, he's going to go under it. So that's why you would do this version instead, and you'd catch him during the recovery frames rather than he goes under you when you try to anti-zone him and then he gets up, punishes you. So that's kind of the main use of holding 3 for there to be no hit during backstage pass. You can also press back, as you can see here, and come out from the same side. And if you don't press 3, you can go ahead and, as you'll see right here, he'll do the slash, which is also a high. Or you can press back and hold 3 at the same time, and Ghostface will just reappear on the same side, as you can see there. And during all of these different versions where you're holding back or you're pressing 3 or you're not pressing 3, you can go ahead and press L1 or L2 to swap into the Assassins or the Enforcer, just like so. So that's the main gist of backstage pass. It's a combo extender and anti-zone neutral skip tool. And it's also kind of the main way to get into the Enforcer or into the Assassin Ghostfaces. You know, just kind of in the neutral, you can just kind of do it. Even though it is a slow move, you know, your opponent does have to kind of respect the fact that you can appear behind them. And like I said, the reason why you do that is because it's like insurance, right? 12 seconds of being the Enforcer or the Assassin, your opponent can't combo you. If they do something like a full screen fatal blow, you get a full combo punish on them. So when you're at like low health or you're neck and neck, you can definitely do this for a little bit of an edge and just kind of press the advantage. The other thing about backstage pass is the enhanced version just allows you to combo into it. So you don't need a cameo if you do the enhanced version of backstage pass. And the other thing about this is that if you choose to enhance backstage pass and you go and turn into one of the other Ghostfaces, you might as well just choose to go and become the Enforcer or Assassin at this point. Because one, it's the 12 seconds of insurance, like I keep saying, but also it's not going to cost you that other extra bar of meter. It's only going to cost you 1 bar. Because, as I said earlier, swapping into the other Ghostfaces is going to cost you a bar of meter, no matter what, like if you just do it regular like so. But if you do it from an enhanced move, like backstage pass, it's only going to cost the 1 bar, where this would technically be like 2 bars. So you might as well just take the damage, little extra damage, and get the Enforcer or Assassin out there. Next is Psychotic Rush. Down forward 3. This is basically like Leatherface's killer stance from MKX, where he runs at you and he has the three different, it's a three-way mix-up. That's the same thing here. It's a three-way mix. You have two mid options where you could do your dive, as you can see here, and then the dive in of itself is a strike throw situation with that low slash or the throw. You can do 3, which will stop Ghostface, from running, as you can see here, and you can do it pretty fast. You can do 1, which is a bunch of mid stabs, as you can see right there, catch people who are ducking. You can do 2, which is a safe overhead unless it's up blocked. So as you can see right here, it's -5, but it is a pretty slow overhead at 23 frames. But if they make the read, you're eating a punish there. And you can do Father Death from here, which is back down forward 1, as you can see right there. And you can do backstage pass, so you can actually run at your opponent and then run away, maybe appear on the other side. But the main deal of doing backstage pass from this is to bait out any buttons that your opponent might throw out. If you're just running at them and then they start pressing buttons preemptively, then you could just appear behind them and just hit them with the high and then turn that into a punish in of itself. So it's very tricky if you go from Psychotic Rush into backstage pass, and of course you have all the options I mentioned earlier. But the main deal is the three-way mix of doing the overhead, doing a mid, or doing the command grab. Because one, if you enhance Psychotic Rush, the mid stabs do a lot more damage, and you can also combo this with, like Tremor, for example. It doesn't really work out too well with Kano and Kano knives. The overhead does more damage, as you can see here, and they're on the ground for a really long time. So that's, again, perfect for Tremor to come in and do his Earthquake OTG. Or you can enhance the dive, though I'm going to be honest, the timing on that one is a little finicky. It's very tight timing, which your down forward 4 is your armored move, and it's armored here as well. So just a FYI there. We'll talk about down forward 4 later. And you can also, enhance the Father Death command grab. So it's a pretty scary three-way mix where your opponent, if they try to go for an up block, they run the risk of getting hit with a command grab that's going to do extra damage because they up blocked. Or if they start ducking, then they run the risk of getting put into a strike throw situation from your dive, or just getting shanked a whole bunch, which puts you very, very close to them. You're plus 15. And they're at a distance where you can sort of, if they're holding block, that is, hit them with a down 3, and you can tick throw from there. Next is his down back 4. It's called Always Outnumbered. This is kind of his main combo extender outside of backstage pass, where this one you can also use for anti-zone, because if someone is, low fireballs, you have the mid option there. Or you can go ahead and delay it and swap into the Ghostface that's behind them. And it's a lot faster than doing backstage pass, as you can see. You could do it pretty much instantly. So the moment you see someone shoot a fireball out, you could easily just go down back 4 and swap, like so. So you can use it for anti-zone. You can delay it, and you can do some stuff like this, where if you have Kano knives, you can hold it. And then this is completely safe as well on block, because it's a 44 frame move. So the mid is safe, and if you press 2, which is a launcher, it's a high launcher, it's -1. So if you do stuff like this, it's completely safe. So down back 4 is a completely safe special. It's kind of his main extender that you're going to be using for your big damage combos, which I'll show at the end of this video. But basically you want to be hitting this as much as possible in combos, which is why I recommend standing combo cameos like Kano or Serena. So you can get damage like this and put people into the back 3 restand strike throw situation, like so. So his down back 4 is a very good tool for anti-zone and for getting damage. And finally, you can press 1 at any point while you're holding a down back 4 to cancel it. And down back 4 does have a cooldown, as you can see here. I'm pressing down back 4 as a couple second cooldown. Now the crazy thing is the enhanced down back 4. Enhanced down back 4 is a full screen throw that your opponent has to duck, and it does 14%. And you see how long it takes them to fall to the ground? That's super good for, you know, like I keep saying, Tremor or Sector to come in and do an OTG. You can even get a little bit extra damage if you're using like Kano. You can do some pretty messed up stuff like this where you put down a cameo to threaten with the mid. They're holding block and you get them with the command grab. So it's pretty rough for your opponent that you can actually just full screen command grab them and sort of jail into it. They have to be very, very fast with their reactions. So this is basically one of the best neutral skip tools in the game possibly that your opponent always has to be aware of. Now it costs you 2 bars a meter, and thank God it costs you 2 bars a meter, because if this was a 1 bar thing, the most meta way to play this guy would be sit back here with like a Kung Lao low hat and then constantly just spam this. Finally, we have his last special, which is Psychotic Dive, down forward 4. So the main thing is that this one, it restands people. So if you get someone airborne, you restand into down forward 4 and you're very plus afterwards. It also combos into the low slash by itself, as you can see here. And it has a throw follow-up. So immediately, right? Down forward 4, it's a mix-up tool, or you know, it's a strike throw tool. The main counterplay though is to just jump back against it. So the main thing with down forward 4 though, outside of it, you know, restanding people and being a good tool to do some strike throw from, is that it's your armored move. It's got 1 hit of armor when you enhance it. Now, and it does extra damage on the way down, as you can see there. It goes from 60 to 90. Now your 4 options from here are doing crawl, which is just you just press 3, you'll start crawling around on the ground. You press 1 to do a low slash that actually knocks people down, and you're very plus afterwards, so you know you can play some more strike throw. You can press 2 to actually do the throw, or you can press 4 to get back up. This is a very scary armored move. You armor through somebody's gap. You're super plus afterwards. It combos into itself from the low slash, so it's a guaranteed knockdown afterwards, and your opponent has to play strike throw against you, like just for trying to go for a string that has an armorable gap there. So down forward 4 Psychotic Dive is super good, and on top of that, it has an enhance on the throw, which is if you hold the enhance button, Ghostface will actually pin their foot to the ground, and it's a restand / combo extender. Let me do it. There you go, as you can see there. It's a restand and it's a combo extender. So again, it's another reason to use standing combo cameos like Kano. As you can see right there, 5 hits into the restand. Or you can just combo straight into it. Just like that. 6 hits, 7 hits, 8 hits, it naturally combos. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with that enhanced prone stab. And finally, his fatal blow. It's a full screen fatal, but it does hit high, so people can duck under it. But if someone's not being careful, they're like shooting fireballs at you, you can just punish them with a fatal blow. You can also combo into it as well from his strings, like so. Now I'm going to briefly talk about doing strike throw with Ghostface and the back 3 restand. So while you can actually get pretty decent damage with Ghostface, like 32%, I know that's a little on the lower end of MK1, but 32% and having a lot of strike throw and tons of hit advantage off of every knockdown, and being able to just kind of punish people full screen, and also not being able to get comboed, I think it kind of makes sense as to why he's a low damage character, right? But playing strike throw with Ghostface is actually really scary for your opponent, and it's not too difficult. Obviously your throw, it combos from juggles. You can tick throw from your down 1 and down 3 on block. Those are the only buttons that you can tick throw from, whereas other buttons you cannot. But you want to end your combos as much as possible with your back 3. Back 3 is the most important button for Ghostface. Like I said earlier, you're plus 14 here. This jails into your highs, so you could do a jab, you could do a stand 2, you could do a stand 3, do whatever. Your opponent cannot mash against you. All they can do is armor through some of your options. Not all of your options, just some of your options, like back 2 out of a back 3 restand. But even if you just catch someone with back 3 in general, it's even more plus. It's plus 15. They can't do anything here. They have to just take the strike throw guess. And that's why back 3 is so important to Ghostface and playing Ghostface. Now you keep access to back 3 as any Ghostface killer in this game. Which again, instead of playing strike throw right, with like the Enforcer for example, you're going to be doing overhead low out of it. You're going to be doing, am I going to do a back 2? Am I going to do a down forward 4? Am I just going to do a sweep? So you just kind of adjust your back 3 restands to which Ghostface you're playing as. Obviously, this Ghostface, right? The Assassin. When you do a restand, back 2, double overhead. Or you hit him with a low, right? And depending on your cameo, this could become overhead low, overhead throw, whatever. Now, here is the exact situation that I put people in as Ghostface. Now, I would say that like I found all this stuff, but I didn't. Or well, not by myself. Much like Ghostface working in pairs, me and my brother are labbing the shit out of this character. So he found a lot of the stuff that I'm showing off as well. So big ups to him, White Boy Bobby. So this first one is the main restand option. Ghostface does about like 30% damage, and then afterwards on wake up, it's his turn again. He can tick throw you with a down 1 or down 3 into command grab. He can do a back 2. He can do a jab. All of that will jail, and all of that will beat out whatever buttons you press. The only option that actually armors, that can be armored through, is back 2. The jab beats out armor. Down 1 beats out armor. Down 3 beats out armor. So the only option that can be armored through from this restand setup is the back 2. Now the other option is that he goes into dive. Now, dive is also scary because you can't jump back against this. He's 2+. He has too much advantage off of this. So you have to just guess strike throw against Ghostface doing that. So those are the main 2 setups that you'd be doing with the back 3 restand. Either I'm going to option select the overhead tick throw, or the overhead tick throw or jab, stuff whatever buttons you do, or I'm going to go into this dive that you can't jump out of because I'm so plus, as you can see right there. And the only option they have is to guess against prone dive strike throw. You cannot armor through this. Watch on wake up as I watch right here. See, because it's a restand, they don't get wake up armor reversal. They have to take the 50-50 of, am I gonna throw you or am I gonna do a low slash? If you try to jump away, you get knocked down, and now you're put right back into the mix. If you just hold block, I could throw you and possibly get a restand and knock you down again. You're right next to me, I'm plus 15, put you right back into the mix. So that's the main setups you're gonna be doing as Ghostface. Constantly looping, strike throw, whether it's, doing the prone dive ender to restand or doing the back 3 ender to restand. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope this made sense. This isn't really a guide for Ghostface. This is more day 1 first impressions. He's very cool, very fun. He actually feels really strong, even though, his damage isn't so great, but I think it's fair. And yeah, I'll show some combos now. I hope this helped. I'll see you guys in the next one, probably a full-fledged Ghostface guide. Maybe I'll even post some matches or something. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped.